Today, I'm not going to soften this at all. The Chargers are stepping into this wave of news with a real demand sitting right in front of them. Protecting Justin Herbert cannot just be a nice slogan while the line breaks down, depth becomes patchwork, and a young defender starts feeling like he has earned his money. There's a return that could reshape the offense, a possible reunion that hits the fan base right in the heart, a criticized signing that needs to silence people, and a negotiation Los Angeles cannot keep pushing to the side. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because today the pressure is turned all the way up. It starts with the kind of news that should make people stop treating the offensive line like some boring front office detail. ESPN's Mike Clay put a massive point on the table. Rashawn, Slater, and Joe Alt coming back healthy for 2026 could change the entire floor of this offense. And I'm going to be direct about it. If the Chargers want to stop surviving on offense and start imposing their will, this is not a bonus. This is priority number one. In 2025, Slater missed every game with a patellar tendon injury, and Alt was held to only 294 snaps because of an ankle injury. The result was ugly. Los Angeles finished dead last in the NFL in pass block win rate at 53.9% and 31st in run block win rate at 68.9%. That is not just a bad number sitting on a spreadsheet. That is Herbert rushing reads, escaping the pocket, playing outside the design, and watching drives die before they ever became a real threat. Now look at the contrast. When both were healthy together in 2024, Slater was PFF's second highest graded tackle and ranked 10th among all linemen in run block win rate. Alt, still a rookie at the time, finished 7th in pass block win rate and 14th in run block win rate among 80 qualified tackles. That is the ceiling of an elite tackle duo. That is not empty hope. The proof is already sitting there. That is why this news feels different. With Slater locking down one side and Alt holding firm on the other, Herbert gets time to let routes develop. The receivers get a better chance to separate. The run game stops depending on miracles at the second level, and the offensive coordinator can call a game that feels less desperate, less broken, and less built around Herbert putting out fires. But here comes the demand. Health cannot be the whole plan. The Chargers have to turn this return into an identity, because the AFC will not feel sorry for Los Angeles if the line looks good on paper and shaky on Sundays. Slater and Alt coming back is massive news, absolutely. But now the obligation is simple. Build around them and protect the quarterback the way a serious franchise protects its window. And there is another piece you cannot ignore. When the tackles hold the edges, everybody inside plays with less panic. The guard does not have to make up for a disaster outside. The center can communicate without turning into emergency control. The running back can release into a route without it feeling reckless. A healthy version of this duo reorganizes the whole offense. So I am not buying some cold read that says Los Angeles gets a little better. No. If both of them are right, this offense changes its posture. And when the conversation shifts from protection to offensive depth, Austin Ekeler shows up with that strange mix of memory and usefulness. This is not cheap nostalgia. He was one of the great undrafted finds in Chargers history. A running back who caught passes, moved the chains, and gave the quarterback a quick answer when the play started falling apart. But the point now is not pretending we are back in 2021. Ekeler is entering his age 31 season, spent 2 years in Washington, tore his Achilles in week 2 of 2025, and is believed to be fully cleared for football activities again. So the real question is not whether he comes back to be a star. The question is whether he makes sense as smart camp insurance, depth, and a situational piece. And I like that read if the price and the role are right. The Chargers have 3 main running backs, but all of them missed time with injuries in 2025. That changes the conversation. Depth on paper does not win in December. Healthy, reliable, adaptable depth does. When Ekeler is right, he can still bring short area receiving value, space awareness, and that third down presence that helps Herbert avoid being trapped in all or nothing situations. There is also the roster mechanics side. As a vested veteran, he could go back to the practice squad without passing through waivers if he needed more time or became a depth piece for later. That lowers the risk. Nobody is asking Los Angeles to rebuild the offense around him. The debate is different. If an injury hits, if camp shows a need, if there is a deal that makes sense for both sides, why not have an option Herbert already knows and a player who understands how to keep a play alive? That kind of move does not have to scream to be useful. It just cannot become sentimentality. If Ekeler comes back, it has to be about fit, role, and competitive protection. The heart respects the history. The brain asks whether there is still real value. In this specific scenario, I would not rule it out. Then comes one of those signings a lot of people hated before they even took a breath, Cole Strange. And honestly, I understand part of the reaction. Fans wanted maybe a bigger name, a louder name, a name you cannot ignore. Elton Jenkins, Wyatt Teller. That kind of conversation fires up the imagination. But the NFL is not won only by names that sound good on social media. It is won by fit, recovery, system, and the right player in the right spot. Strange has a path that explains why the Chargers are betting on him. At Farragut High School in Tennessee, he played defense and was named the local league's Defensive Player of the Year after putting up 103.5 tackles, 18 tackles for loss, and 7.5 sacks as a senior. He went to Chattanooga, redshirted, moved to the offensive line, and built a long college career inside. He won the Jacobs Blocking Award twice as the best blocker in the Southern Conference and entered the draft as a Day 2 developmental prospect. Bill Belichick did not wait for the majority to approve. New England took Strange with the 29th pick in the 2022 draft. As a rookie, he started all 17 games at left guard, allowing 5 sacks and 23 pressures. He was showing some progress after that, until he suffered a torn patellar tendon in his second year, the same injury Slater dealt with. He came back, played some snaps at center, left the Patriots, did not stick on the Browns roster, and then Miami, needing a guard, put him on the field for 14 games in 2025. The numbers were mixed. 2 sacks allowed, 21 pressures, a 54.9 offensive grade from PFF, 57.0 as a run blocker, and 42.2 in pass protection. Nobody needs to pretend that is dominant, but the detail a lot of people ignore is this. Mike McDaniel saw this player up close, used Strange when he needed him, and now in Los Angeles, Strange arrives in year 2 inside a system that could help stabilize his career. The contract also shows a controlled bet. 2 years, $13 million, $9 million guaranteed, with a $5.25 million cap hit in 2026. That is not star money. That is starter money for a player who has to deliver. And if he really is the right guard protecting Herbert, the soft talk is over. He has to play. Comment like a fan who does not swallow lazy narratives. Is Strange going to shut the critics up, or does that spot still worry you? Because to me, that is the point. He does not have to become an all-pro. He has to be stable, physical, healthy, and smart enough not to ruin what Slater and Alt can fix on the edges. Then the spotlight shifts from offense to defense, but the pressure is still pounding on the same door. Do the Chargers know how to act before a problem becomes a crisis? Tuli Tuipulotu is coming off a season with 13 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 16 starts, and his first Pro Bowl trip. He is 23 years old, entering the final year of his rookie deal, and when he was asked about the possibility of holding out from practices while negotiating an extension, he answered, "Time will tell." That phrase is short, but it is not small. It does not mean everything blows up tomorrow. It also does not let anybody pretend there is no message in there. A young player developed in-house, improving every year, going from 4.5 sacks as a rookie to 8 in 2024 and 13 in 2025, is basically saying the clock is real. And I do not blame the player for wanting security. The NFL is violent, careers move fast, and edge production is expensive. From the Chargers side, Joe Ortiz has a decision that cannot be lazy. Waiting can look cautious because the team wants to know if Tuli can repeat that level. But if he repeats it, the price goes up. If he explodes again, the market is not going to wait for Los Angeles to calmly do the math. Young pass rush is one of the most expensive currencies in football. And when you find a guy who gets better every year, plays heavy, finishes plays, and still has not hit his physical peak, you do not treat that like background noise. Of course, a big contract needs structure. You do not just open the vault and hope. The team has to protect flexibility, look at guarantees, and think about the whole roster. But there is a difference between negotiating hard and letting a player feel like he has to raise the temperature just to be heard. Harbaugh is trying to build a physical identity. Tuli is exactly the kind of piece that fits that identity. And there is more. After back-to-back 11-6 seasons, 2 playoff trips, and 2 wildcard exits by more than 1 possession, the Chargers cannot sell growth while losing young pillars in the process. If the defense wants to take the next step, keeping pressure on the opposing quarterback is central. So this negotiation is not only about Tuli, it is about what kind of franchise Los Angeles wants to be when a homegrown talent becomes living proof of development. My aggressive read is simple. Do not let this turn sour. Negotiate hard, protect the cap, but treat the player like a priority before the problem grows a life of its own. Because every roster that wants to be taken seriously chooses certain pillars to represent the next phase. Herbert is the face. Slater and Alt are the protection. Tuli can be one of the physical voices of the defense. If Los Angeles wants to stop being praised for the future and start being feared in the present, this is the kind of decision that has to show maturity, ambition, and timing. When you pull all of this together, today points to the same demand. The Chargers cannot keep managing potential like time is unlimited. Slater and Alt coming back changes the ceiling of the line. Ekeler could become useful insurance if the fit is right. Cole Strange has to turn doubt into real stability. And Tuli Tuipulotu deserves a negotiation handled seriously before the temperature rises. Los Angeles has the quarterback, the talent, and the coach. Now it needs execution. If you feel like 2026 has to be the year of answers, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment which one of these stories matters most for the Chargers' future. Bolt up!